government commits more than $22.31 million to higher education scholarships since the beginning of 2024. According to the Ministry of Tourism and Environment, the government's initiatives to introduce halal tourism across 5 regions has drawn strong investor interest. And official tourism figures have shown tourist arrivals have recovered in July after a slight dip in numbers for the past 2 months.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to PSM News in English with me, Abdullah Ahil. And now the news in detail. The government commits more than $22.31 million to higher education scholarships since the beginning of 2024 in a strategic bid to strengthen human capital and extend academic opportunity. Administered by the Ministry of Higher Education, Labor and Skills Development, the program reflects the state's broader ambition to nurture a skilled and globally competitive workforce.
According to official data released by the ministry, the investment has distributed across 93 scholarship schemes to date. Within the current calendar year, $6.18 million allocated supporting 45 students, 34 women and 11 men. The program's impact is also reflected in its graduate figures. So far in 2025, a total of 48 students have completed their studies under the initiative, including 30 women and 18 men. Scholarship participation spans geographic borders, with 607 students currently pursuing tertiary education across 20 countries, including within the Maldives. Among them, 268 remain actively engaged in coursework, comprising 176 women and 80 men. Since the launch of the initiative, 357 students have graduated under these schemes, according to ministry data. The group includes 220 women and 137 men, signaling steady growth in the nation's academic achievement. Students benefit from a variety of award channels, including high achiever scholarships administered directly by the government, special presidential scholarships, and grants provided by foreign governments and international partners.
Ministry of Tourism and Environment says the government's initiative to introduce halal tourism across 5 regions has drawn strong investor interest, marking a significant step in its strategy to expand the nation's hospitality sector through faith-aligned development.
According to the ministry, the opening of investment opportunities on 5 designated islands has prompted considerable engagement. Structured to align with Islamic principles, the campaign reflects broader efforts to diversify the country's travel industry and meet growing demand for Muslim-friendly destinations. Each island selected for the program represents a distinct geographic region. Made available for investment last month, the sites include Bina Fushi and Kandali Finolu in Ha Alufa Atoll, Mukunudu Faru in Ha Dal Atoll, Fushi Faru in Shaviani Atoll, Maguli in Ta Atoll, and Fonagadu in Lama Atoll. In support of prospective bidders, the ministry has initiated a series of information sessions offering guidance and procedures and participation criteria. The ministry confirmed investment incentives central to the initiative include the option to amortize acquisition fees and related costs over a 5 to 6 year period. Projects developed under the halal tourism framework will also be eligible for duty exemptions of up to 20%, quadruple the rate extended to existing resorts. Government officials expect these provisions to reinforce investor confidence and accelerate interest. The concept of halal tourism places emphasis on religious observance and cultural accommodation. Proposed features include the establishment of mosques, strict prohibition on the import of alcohol and pork, and assurances that all meals meet halal standards. Staff attire will comply with Islamic dress codes under guidelines issued by the ministry. Expressions of interest were invited from the 15th of July through August 4th. The final deadline for bid submissions is the 1st of September. Ministry officials indicated that the initial session drew considerable attention, with numerous inquiries lodged by potential investors. A second session is slated for the 3rd of August.
Official tourism figures show tourist arrivals have recovered in July after a slight dip in numbers for the past 2 months.
The figures from the Ministry of Tourism and Environment show that 135,614 tourists arrived in May, followed by 141,772 in June, which was down from 168,366 in April. However, arrivals have picked up since the downturn, with 168,112 tourists holidaying in the Maldives by July 28, which is an 11.8% increase compared to July last year. Despite the slight dip in May and June, the renowned tourist destination has witnessed an uptick in arrivals so far this year, with 1,276,242 tourists as of the 28th of July. This is a 9.5% increase over the same period last year, taking the daily tourist arrivals average to 6,004 tourists each day. Maldives' top 5 tourist source markets are as follows. China in number 1 with 184,661 tourists, Russia in number 2 with 150,607 tourists, UK follows in third place with 119,958 tourists, Italy in fourth with 92,639 tourists, and Germany with 90,678 tourists. According to the figures, tourist resorts have been the preferred choice of stay for 73.1% of the tourists, followed by guest houses with 22.1% and just 2.7% choosing to stay in tourist hotels. The government has set an ambitious target of attracting 2.3 million tourists this year.
The Ministry of Cities, Local Government and Public Works conducts an internal review of its efforts and performance of the past 6 months.
The mid-year review meeting was attended by staff from different sections of the ministry with presentations on performance, challenges, and targets achieved during the past 6 months. Speaking at the opening ceremony of the mid-year review meeting, the Minister for Cities, Local Government and Public Works, Adam Sharif Umar, said despite challenges, it was essential to ensure that the public were provided with the best services possible. The minister urged all staff to be diligent and to complete their assignments in a timely manner to their best of their abilities. Minister Adam Sharif revealed that efforts are underway to introduce a staff performance award designed to recognize and motivate employees. He said the mid-year review will facilitate further strengthening of the execution of the ministry's mandate going forward. Speaking during the ceremony, the president of the Civil Service Commission, or CSC, Mohammad Nasir, revealed good progress on negotiations on increasing the salary of civil servants. During his speech, Nasir stressed on the importance of supervisors to conduct timely performance reviews, which he said will help them to organize tasks and set manageable deadlines for staff. According to Nasir, the National Pay Commission is continuing to meet with government ministries to deliver on President Dr. Mohamed Muiz's pledge to increase civil servants' pay. President Dr. Muiz in February had announced plans to increase the pay for civil servants and local council staff as part of the ongoing efforts to advance pay harmonization. This announcement was made during his presidential address at the inaugural session of Parliament for 2025. The national budget for this year includes an allocation of $32.42 million for the harmonization of pay across the civil service and other sectors. This funding encompasses earlier plans to raise the salaries of staff within both the judicial sector and the civil service.
Bank of Maldives announces its financial results for the second quarter of 2025 with an operating profit of $51.2 million, marking a 13% increase compared to the same period last year.
BML in a statement said the bank's net profit reached $36.2 million, representing a substantial 24% increase year-on-year. As of the end of the quarter, BML's total assets stood at $3.3 billion with a loan book of $1.4 billion and deposits of $2.2 billion. Year to date, BML has lent $194.6 million in new loans and finances to individuals and businesses, while the bank's capital and liquidity ratios remain strong and well above regulatory requirements. BML CEO and Managing Director Mohammad Sharif expressed delight on the strong financial performance for the quarter, which he said reflects the dedication of the team and the effectiveness of its strategic direction. During the quarter, BML held its annual general meeting where shareholders approved a record dividend payout of $19.2 million, equivalent to $3.6 per share. The bank also made significant progress on strategic initiatives, including the Mulirajya BML ATM project, with ATMs installed in all all islands of Nunu, Mimu, Shavyani, as well as Kaf Atoll Hura. The bank also introduced ENVPOS, a first-of-its-kind environmental initiative in the Maldivian banking sector, where the bank will contribute a portion of its earnings from every transaction made via its POS terminals to fund environmental projects across the country, at no additional costs to customers or merchants. With a nationwide network of 40 branches across all 20 atolls, 133 self-service banking centers, 188 ATMs, agent banking service, and a full suite of digital banking services, BML assures its commitment to supporting individuals, businesses, and communities across the Maldives.
United States Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent meets with China's Vice Premier He Lifeng in Sweden for economic and trade talks aimed at resolving long-standing disputes that have fueled a trade war between the world's top two economies.
The talks lasted more than 5 hours and concluded with negotiators departing Rosenbad, the Swedish Prime Minister's office, without addressing reporters. The discussions are expected to resume on the 29th of July. China is facing an August 12 deadline to reach a durable tariff agreement with President Donald Trump's administration after Beijing and Washington reached preliminary deals in May and June to end weeks of escalating tit-for-tat tariffs and a cutoff of rare earth minerals. Trade analysts said another 90-day extension of a tariff and export control truce struck in mid-May between China and the United States was likely. An extension would facilitate planning for a potential meeting between Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping in late October or early November.
South Korean Finance Minister Koo Young-chul says he would try to derive a mutually beneficial trade agreement with the United States in comments ahead of his departure to Washington to meet U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent.
Seoul officials are scrambling in an all-out push to clinch a trade deal ahead of an August 1st deadline to avert punishing tariffs threatened by U.S. President Donald Trump against the country's key industrial exports to the United States. South Korea's finance minister Koo's plan to travel to Washington last week for talks with Bessent was postponed due to the U.S. Treasury chief's scheduling conflict. Koo also said he would be joining Industry Minister Kim Jung-kwang and Minister of Trade Yo Hung-koo, who have been holding talks with U.S. officials, including Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, for an all-out response.
Dozens of ministers gather at a United Nations conference to urge that the world work toward a two-state solution between Israel and the Palestinians, but the U.S. and Israel boycotted the event.
The 193-member UN General Assembly decided in September 2024 that such a conference would be held in 2025. Hosted by France and Saudi Arabia, the conference was postponed in June after Israel attacked Iran. Addressing the conference, Saudi Foreign Minister Faisal bin Farhan Al Saud urged all countries to support the conference goal of a roadmap laying out the parameters to a Palestinian state. French Foreign Minister Jean-Noël Barrot told the conference, quote, "We must work on the ways and means to go from the end of the war in